It started 6 months ago. I was fresh out of grad school with a master's in history, a mountain of debt that gave me nightly anxiety attacks, and a resume that was getting ignored by every museum and university in a 3-state radius. I was applying for everything: retail, data entry, barista. I was about 2 weeks from having to crawl back to my parents' spare room when I saw the ad. It was discreet, posted on a high-end academic job board I'd forgotten I even had an account for. Archival Associate. The Foundation. Discretion, precision, and an exceptional capacity for recall are paramount. No formal experience required. Generous compensation. Generous was an understatement. The salary they listed was more than my parents made combined. I figured it was a typo or a scam. But I was desperate, so I polished my CV and sent it in, not expecting to hear back. They called me the next day. The woman on the phone had a smooth voice but with a weight to it. She didn't ask about my experience or my degree. She asked me a series of bizarre questions. When you were 10, what was the pattern on the wallpaper in your grandmother's kitchen? Describe the cover of the third book you see when you picture your childhood bookshelf. What was the name of the street sign you passed just before turning onto your current road this morning? Luckily for me, my brain is just sticky. Details cling to it, and I know for a fact that it's a photographic, sensory thing. I can close my eyes and walk through my grandmother's house, feel the cool linoleum under my feet, smell the potpourri she kept in a bowl on the sideboard. I answered her questions, and she said, "Please be at this address tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Dress for an interview." The address was a downtown monolith. A skyscraper with no name on the facade, just an elaborate, interlocking symbol above the heavy bronze doors that looked like a stylized knot. The lobby was a cavern of marble and silence. The air was cool and still, like a cathedral. A man in a simple, perfectly tailored gray suit met me and led me to an elevator, then up to a floor that had no button. He used a key. The interview was with a man I now know only as the supervisor. He was ageless, with pale eyes that seemed to look right through me. He explained the job. It was simple, he said. Deceptively so. Each day, I would be given a single photograph. My task was to study that photograph from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I was to absorb it, to commit every single detail to memory. The play of light, the grain of the image, the expressions on the faces, the stitching on a coat, the cracks in a sidewalk, the reflection in a window. You will become the living record, he said, his voice a low hum. You will not write anything down. You will not make any copies. You will not discuss your work with anyone. At 5 o'clock, I will collect the photograph, and you will watch me incinerate it. The Foundation's motto is Quidem Optimi Memorandum. Some things are best remembered. It was the strangest job I'd ever heard of. But the debt was on my chest, and the number on the contract he slid across the mahogany desk could change my entire life. I signed. My workspace was in a vast, circular room that felt like a panopticon. Dozens of identical wooden carrels were arranged in concentric rings, all facing a central pillar. Each corral was a small, three-sided booth with a comfortable chair, a desk, and a single lamp. There were maybe 30 other people in the room, but the only sound was the soft rustle of clothing and the low, ever-present hum of the building's climate control. No one spoke. No one even looked at each other. They were all just like me, head down, focused with an intensity that was almost unnerving. They had the same look I saw in the mirror every morning, a mixture of intelligence and quiet desperation. The first photograph was of a dusty, empty ballroom. Ornate, peeling plasterwork on the ceiling. A single chandelier, draped in cobwebs. Sunlight streamed through a grimy arched window, illuminating a universe of dancing dust motes. That was it. For 8 hours, I just looked. I memorized the way the shadows fell, the specific pattern of the water stains on the far wall, the number of crystal pendants missing from the chandelier, 17. At 5 p.m., the supervisor came, took the photo with a pair of tongs, and I followed him to a small, soundproofed room containing a sleek, modern furnace. He unlocked it, slid the photo inside, and pressed a button. A soft whir, a flash of orange light, and it was gone. He nodded at me, and I went home. The days fell into a rhythm. A new photo every morning. A wedding party from the 1920s, the bride's smile just a little too tight. A grimy factory floor, men in flat caps staring grimly at a piece of machinery. A desolate stretch of highway at dusk, a single abandoned car with its door hanging open. A crowded market in a city I couldn't place, faces blurred with motion except for one small child staring directly at the camera, their expression utterly blank. They were all unlabeled. No dates, no locations, no context. Just moments, frozen and silent. My colleagues remained phantoms. We nod sometimes, in the elevator or the sterile break room where we microwave our sad, solitary lunches. But we never spoke. It was a rule, and a powerful one. It was as if we were all part of some silent monastic order. I saw a woman who couldn't have been older than me, but her eyes had the haunted, distant look of a war veteran. An older man always rubbed his left temple, a constant, rhythmic motion, as he stared at his photos. We were all islands. The dream started about a month in. At first, they were just echoes. I'd dream I was standing in the dusty ballroom, and I could smell the decay and the dry rot. I'd hear the faint, ghostly echo of a waltz. I woke up feeling unsettled but dismissed it. My job was to stare at images all day. Of course they creep into my subconscious. But they got stronger. After a week spent memorizing a photo of a grim-faced family on a sagging porch in what looked like the Dust Bowl, I had a dream where I was the father. I could feel the rough, splintered wood of the porch railing under my hand, the grit of dust between my teeth, the gnawing, hopeless hunger in my stomach. I felt a desperate, protective love for the woman and children beside me, a love so fierce and painful it made my chest ache when I woke up. The day I studied a photo of a collapsed mine entrance, I spent the night dreaming of darkness. The oppressive weight of the earth above me, the taste of cold dust, the chilling, subterranean cold that seeps into your bones. I heard the shouts of other men, muffled and terrified, and the groan of shifting rock. I woke up gasping for air, my pajamas soaked in sweat, my throat raw from screams that had been trapped in my sleeping mind. This became the new normal. Every night, I was a tourist in someone else's tragedy. I was a soldier in a trench, the mud sucking at my boots, the smell of cordite and fear thick in the air. I was a lone woman in a lighthouse, the storm winds howling around me like a hungry beast, the waves crashing against the stone with the force of cannonballs. I was a witness to car accidents, fires, arguments steeped in a quiet, venomous rage. I was living 100 different lives, and none of them were my own. My own life began to feel thin and unreal. I'd be walking to the grocery store, and the texture of the modern pavement would feel strange, alien. The bright colors of the cereal aisles seemed garish and loud compared to the sepia and black and white worlds I inhabited every night. My own memories started to get fuzzy. I had to really concentrate to remember my college roommate's name, but I could tell you the exact pattern of the rust stains on the hull of a shipwreck I'd studied for 8 hours 3 weeks prior. The first major crack appeared on a Tuesday. I had SP,